And
Hello, Jack.
hello, how are you?
Hi,
So
I'm
nice,
fine.
nice to see you. And looks like you have a nice day over there.
Yeah, it's quite nice. It's
Oh my
quite
God,
sunny, a bit
look how
cloudy.
gorgeous. So pretty. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we have beautiful weather over here too. I'm in
Ah, great.
Connecticut, but New York is nice too.
Okay.
Um, so let's start by introduce yourself and tell us who you are and where you are.
So hello everyone. Hi, I'm Anne Clement. So I'm a wine grower in Menetou-Salon. Thanks for the map.
Yeah,
Um,
my face covers it up though, unfortunately. Like you're
uh,
right behind where my
yeah,
face is.
exactly, exactly. But it's a good spot to be. You're in Menetou-Salon with me, so.
Exactly.
So Menetou-Salon, it's at the very end of the Loire Valley, in the central Loire Valley. We are not far from Sancerre. We are about 20 kilometers south from Sancerre. So we grow the same grape variety as they grow in Sancerre, Sauvignon Blanc for the white wine and Pinot Noir for the red wine. The soil is very specific where we are.
So, Anne, can we back up and tell me you have taken over winemaking responsibilities, but this domain has been in your family? Can you give us a little history of your education and how you got there, and then the history of the domain?
Yeah, so I'm working with my parents, Isabelle and Pierre. They really, it's really them who really give the actual shape of the winery, because they started to run the company 30 years ago. I think 84 was their first vintage. And me, I've been working now in the company since 2014, 6 years already. And for me, I had my parents gave me a very good education because they always told me when I was growing up that I should go abroad, travel, go to university, do something else. And so I really followed their advice, you know. So I didn't want to study wine at the beginning. So I studied business in a business school. And then my dream, my only goal in life was to go to New York City to learn English. Very classic. And then the only job I found was in the wine industry because I guess that's my roots. And I really like it, and I really started to enjoy it. And then I came back in France. I did more technical degree in Burgundy to know how to make wine, how to take care of the vineyards. And then I traveled a bit again. And then I asked my parents if I could join the adventure. And fortunately, they say yes. So it was really important for me to tell me it was, you know, it was a passion for me. And for me, wine is really a passion that has how to say, like infused and raised into me. It's not because I'm their daughter, it's because I love it, and because I can do it also. So
It's so funny you hear that very often. You have to leave to realize that you want to go back.
yeah, exactly, but that's how you learn, you know. So
Exactly. Can you step back and just give a very broad view of the Loire Valley? Because where you are, there's different grapes in Sancerre, Menetou, and then different grapes in the Western Loire. What's different between those two regions? It's so gorgeous. Look, it couldn't be prettier.
yeah, it's very good. You see over there, you see the, like here, I'm not sure you can see it, but we can see the cathedral of the nearest town. It's
Okay.
a very old cathedral. So yeah, Menetou-Salon, it's in the central Loire Valley. So with Sancerre, Pouilly-Fumé, Quincy, Reuilly, Coteaux-du-Génois, we all grow Sauvignon Blanc, and we mostly also grow Pinot Noir. The difference will be about the soil, about the terroir, because the terroir here is very specific. It's a heritage of the Khmer region era.
Okay.
So it means 150 million years ago we had the sea, and then the sea withdrew and led us with marine sediments. And so we have that soils of limestone and clay marl. And it's really that soil that gives a very fruity taste to our wines. Because in Sancerre, for example, they have clay, but they also have flint. So Sancerre will be sharper, maybe. And for us, it will be more fruity, and it gives maybe a more complexity aromas to the wines.
I see. And then just, can you explain how that's different from the Western Lavar, where it's Chenin and Cabernet Franc?
Yeah, so of course, the grape variety, when you go west, it's completely different. They have Cab Franc and Chenin, and the soil are also quite different. But it's quite far away, actually. We are very concentrated in the central Loire Valley with that vineyards on the map. But if you go west, you have Chinon or Saumur or Vouvray, and it's completely different. It's the Loire, but it's completely different.
Yeah, it's striking how far away it is.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe for an American, the distance is not so long, but for us, it's far away.
And then the Domaine is, I always think of it as just your parents' names, but I see the Domaine is actually Chatenoy. Can you explain that and the history of the Domaine before your parents were there?
Yeah, so I'm supposed to be the 16th generation of winemaker. I'm saying supposed to be because it's less pressure on my shoulder, you know. So, so when my parents they started to run the winery, it was a very small vineyard. It was about 7 hectares, and it was in the 80s. So they started to plant, and it was maybe an easier time to plant, and the winery started to grow with them. And so back in 1560, because we have proof of evidence of a Clement in 1560, it was more like a farm, you know. So they had vineyards, some rows of vineyards, but also some cereals, some animals, more like cattle farming.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chatenoy, it's the name of the Domaine de Chatenoy, is the place of where the winery is. It's the location. And and Isabelle and Pierre Clement, it's our brands and the name of my parents, of course.
I see. So we'll repeat this later, but you explained why Menetou, and correct my pronunciation. Katie from French Wine Tutor is in a meeting, or she would be on here, and she says hi. Her and Nicole were visiting you guys last summer, I think, with Enter Loire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So was
it last June or
Yeah, time flies. They said hi.
Yeah. Okay.
But
hello.
how do you, in English, I always say Menetou-Salon, but it's a little more subtle. How do you pronounce in French?
Yeah, you're correct. Menetou-Salon.
Menetou-Salon. Okay.
You're good. I know it's hard to pronounce.
It looks like a big string, but it's actually not hard to say it.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah.
Okay. And so within Menetou, how is your domain different from your neighbors? What do you do different, and like maybe viticulture or in winemaking?
So for us, it's very important in the vineyards to take care of the soil and of the ground. So it means, so we have 2 certifications. We have the Terravitis certification. It's for sustainable viticulture.
Oh, okay.
And also another one, which is called HVE. It means Haute Valeur Environnementale. So it means we put everything in place to protect biodiversity. So actually now, my colleagues, they are down the hill, and they are doing weed management. So it means it's mechanic, so we don't use any pesticide or chemicals. We just use the mechanical tools to work under the vines to take out all the weeds. I don't know if it's clear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And this year we are beginning our organic transition.
Oh, great.
So it means we are just beginning this year. So it means in 3 years we will be organic, hopefully.
So we haven't really heard about this very much over here, the HVE, which is high environmental value. But it's not just that you're not spraying, it's like you're adding back to the good of the environment. Can you explain that a little bit more, just how people participate, whether it's mandatory, and how that's changing in the past few years?
So it's a label that has been created by the French government. And the goal is to really protect and improve the biodiversity. So it's for the winery, for the vineyards, but also for any kind of farms. So it means, for example, here we put nest boxes for birds in the vineyards.
Oh,
so
cool.
we put many of them, and then they can live their lives around the vineyards, and it's good because they eat good insects, and they help to protect the vineyards. So it's a natural protection. And we also planted trees at the edge of the vineyards.
Okay.
So this spring we planted about 100 trees.
Oh, wow.
So the trees, same, it's for biodiversity, because the trees foster the small animals, small insects, and then they have a home where they can live happily their life.
Yeah. The law seems to be fairly flexible. Like you need to do some things, and it seems fairly versatile, but you have to do something every year too, right?
Yeah, exactly. But
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, it's good because then you have to find new techniques, and you have to evolve and find new way to help the nature. So
yeah.
And also it's very important because in our other label, Terravitis, so it's the label for sustainable viticulture. So there are many rules for the vineyards, but also in the cellar. And there are also a lot of social measures for our employees. It means lots of things about ethics, about hygiene also. So it's really a global label.
That's
because
awesome.
The organic label, it's only in the vineyards. But I think it's good also to prevent the people who works for the vineyards. And
yeah, that's awesome. So on the estate, do you just make Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir?
Yeah, exactly, because we can only do that. Menetou-Salon, it's very easy. So it's the same soil everywhere, Kimmeridgian limestone and clay marl. And we can only grow Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir for the red and rosé, nothing else. Very easy for a winemaker.
It's easy to remember for us.
Yeah, exactly.
So how many different wines do you make?
So we have 6 cuvées. Yeah, okay. I think so, yeah. We have 3 different white wines. So we have our classic white wines. The one you should take in an hour and a half for aperitif, just outside with oysters, it will be perfect. And then we have La Dame de Chatenoy, which is a bit more full body. It has aged on the lees for a bit less than 1 year. We also have another white wine which aged on the barrels, and we will release soon a new cuvée. Which comes from a single block. It's 18 for the vintage, and it has aged in foudre. It's a huge barrels.
Yep.
So it was an experiment for us at the beginning because we have always been using barrels. My father was one of the first one to use oak barrels in the 80s, but we had never used foudre. So and we are very happy about the result.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you make a couple of wines with the reds. That's 4 so far you've said?
So we have 2 red wine. So we have classic red, which is from quite young vineyards. It's very fruity. And then we have our Rouge Tradition, which has aged for 1 year in oak barrels. And they are 30% new barrels. So it's more like a Burgundy style. Okay. And then we have a rosé wine. The rosé, it's Pinot Noir again, because we cannot do anything else. And it's press rosé. So it means it's a direct press, no skin contact. It's hand harvested. And the only contact is in the bucket of the harvester, and then it's directly pressed. So it's a pale rosé, very fruity.
And it's delicious. I was sold a lot of that last summer at the Waverly Inn, and will hopefully do again this year.
Yeah, we hope so.
So, but it's also available. It's not easy to find in retail because it's not easy to find anyone in retail lately, but it's available in retail. Okay. So Pinot Noir, I mean, it's rosé season now. Everybody's thinking of pink wine because of the weather. Can you explain Provence is on the map as rosé, but I found Sancerre rosé very easy to sell last summer because people are more open to it here, the consumers. So can you just explain in a taste profile how your rosé is similar or different from Provence and Sancerre rosé?
Okay, so for the wine making, for me it's similar because they are both pressed rosé, so direct press, no skin contact. So it gives a very fruity rosé and with a pale color. But in the mouth, you get more complexity. It's still, you know, a bit crisp and refreshing, but you have a bit of complexity in the mouth. So maybe that's the difference between the rosé from the south and our rosé.
Okay.
And also for all of the wine that we make here, we only use natural yeast. We don't add any yeast, because we really want you to feel the real expression of the terroir and the soil.
Yeah,
so
it's such a pretty wine without being like flowery and sweet. It's very crisp and dry, refreshing, but it has enough structure. It'll last through the whole meal. I think it's great.
Exactly.
And especially with summer food. Sorry.
Exactly. I always say it's not the... Of course, you can have it if you're near a swimming pool and it's sunny outside. Of course, it will be very nice. But it's also the kind of rosé you can enjoy for during a whole meal. It will be very nice with a salad, barbecue, or also with Asian, not spicy food, but Asian food, like Japanese style. Or,
that would be very good. Awesome. If y'all have any questions, pop the people that are watching, pop them in the question box below. So how are things different now under the Corona? Well, let me back up. What's happening in the vines right now? Have you your past bud break and maybe trellising? What are you doing in the vineyard?
Yeah. So now it's we are very much, I would say, in advance. It's very early for the season. We have about, I think, like everywhere in France, perhaps, we have about 1 month earlier than last year. So we finished the debudding, and now we do lots of work in the ground to take out the weeds. And we will also soon do the palissage. So you know the palissage, because the you know the vines, if you don't do anything with it, it will grow and never stop. So we need this with the wire. We will attach the vineyards between the wire. I don't know if it's because otherwise it can grow.
So you've got the wires that you're going to lift up to train the vines.
Exactly. Thank you very much for the explanation.
Yeah. No, that's okay. And then do you do it again, or it's just one stage of that?
It's just one stage, and then we lock the vineyards in between the wires, and then it's done for the season. And then we will focusing on the work on the ground.
I see. I just am struck by how gorgeous it is. It's just so pretty. The clouds, you can't get better.
You need to come back again.
Yeah, it's high on my list, believe me. High on my list.
Great.
So this time of year, you would be traveling as an ambassador, or you would be staying at home in the vineyard under normal circumstances?
On normal circumstances, I would be both, I guess. Usually from September to December, I'm taking care of the harvest and fermenting in the winery. January, February, we are doing the blending for the wines.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm on the market trying to sell the wine. So usually we do a fair, or we travel also a lot.
Yeah.
So now it's quite complicated, but we hope it's only temporary.
Yeah, but it's not to minimize that it's awful everywhere, but your people are more spread out in the country, and people can work in the vineyards somewhat as normal. How is day? And you live right there, so how is life different under the Corona for you guys? Yeah,
I think for us it's very special because you know the vines keep growing, so we need to take care of the vineyards. So we need to work, and every day we go to work, and but it's more like the atmosphere and the ambience, which is more different. And also it's very complicated because we sell to liquor store and restaurants, and the restaurants are closed now. So
yeah. So do you? I have friends that make wine here in Long Island, and so they are, you know, a lot of their distribution has just gone away because of restaurants. They're selling more through their own website, and they can deliver some. Do you do that at all, or is it just a whole new model that you're going to wait and go back to normal?
So we do a bit of delivery. We do these kind of things, but we are
It's
a
not
bit
so much of a
waiting.
model there,
Yeah. And we
yeah.
are
It's
still open. We do if a customer wants to come in the winery and if he wants to buy wine, we put gloves and we do without contact payment, and we implement all of these measures. But
it's
quite
nothing
complicated.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that we live well the quarantine because we are quarantine. Sorry, we are outside, okay. And it's hard to believe, you know, when the nature grows and when it's so beautiful outside. It's really unbelievable to think that outside it's a complete
Well, that's
disaster.
why I started this project, because your customers are in cities for the most part. We're in small apartments stuck indoors, and people need to see some outside. And also it's very optimistic to see that the vines keep going. You're out there making wine, everything's growing, everything's natural and beautiful. And so it's very optimistic to see that. So I want to thank you again for sharing that.
Thank you for inviting me.
But before we go, I want to ask, Instagram is such a new thing, and I wonder if you have any impressions for the new way of reaching customers for you as a winemaker. Is Instagram a good way? What's happening among winemakers over there with social media?
I think it's a good thing because we, the winemaker, we really take care of the soil and of the vineyards, of the wine, and we are not really focusing on the customer. And it's maybe I think it's a bad thing because we are really focusing on doing good wines and of really taking care of the vineyards. But I think it's really good to get the chance to explain to the customer what we do. And it's so easy now to communicate. You're in Connecticut, so far away from, and we are speaking in direct. So
it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, and people just don't have the time. I mean, it's hard to make good wine, and then it's really hard to sell the wine just because you have to reach so many customers. And I hope this is a way that we can communicate with you, but you're busy as it is. So I have two questions from people. I want to see what they are. The first is, what are some of your favorite wine regions? And are you seeing go ahead for that one first.
So my favorite wine region, of course, Menetou-Salon. It's a little jewel we need to cherish and enjoy. But I'm a big fan, in the Rhône Valley of Condrieu. It's a small appellation, and the grape variety is Viognier. And for me, a glass of Condrieu, it's perfect. For me, it's one of my favorite wine.
It's a gorgeous. You have good taste, ma'am. All right. Are you seeing your export orders for spring and summer come up as usual, or will they end up selling more domestically in France, like export orders?
So at the beginning, because for us the lockdown happened in March from March 16th, we really saw it was stopping, and now we are feeling that something is happening and that the orders are coming again, and we feel that people are a bit more awake, and that something is happening because, I mean, life is going on and the nature also. So
yeah, I feel there's some energy of like moving on is starting to happen.
Exactly.
So Marie Couet, a dear friend of mine and also works at VOS, selling me your wine.
Hello, Marie.
She says hi. Has the French government taken specific measures to protect wine growers
No, not yet. We are, what can I say? We are fighting. We are trying to fight because I'm also I'm also the co-president of the Central Loire Valley Association, Vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm running that association with another friend, a winemaker of Sancerre. So we are doing lots of meetings with the préfet, les députés, to tell them to help us because the situation is very difficult.
Yeah.
So it's we are following the news every day, and we hope and we are trying to tell them to help the French viticulture.
So just some background for people in America that might not understand. If an industry in general is hit by an economic hardship, the French government will step in and support you. That's correct?
It might. I know the French system is very helpful compared to other systems. And I know we are very lucky because we have a lot of social help here in France.
Yeah.
But
not so much right now.
Yeah, maybe the government, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question, then I'll let you go. Why do you need to lift up the vines to the trellis every year? And do they always prune the vines severely? Does that make sense?
Why do we need to what? Sorry.
Why do you lift the trellis like what we just spoke of? We explaining the vines grow and you raise the trellises?
Because if we don't, you mean with the wire things?
Yes.
You mean if we don't do that, the vines will grow and grow and grow, and it will never stop. It's like comme une liane, like a lion, like you know Tarzan, the movie.
Yeah.
Then you can do the same with the vineyards if you don't do that. I don't know if I explain well.
Yeah, no, you do. It trains them. It trains them to be good in a way.
Yeah, because otherwise you won't have any grapes, you know.
Right. Okay.
So,
and pruning is long done, but do you prune fairly severely? She was asking.
Yeah. We do pruning in the winter. So now it's over since February, and we do it quite severely because we don't want to have too much vigorous. We don't want to have too much cluster of grapes because we want to have the sugar. We want to have lots of sugar in the grapes.
So that's something that is you as the winemaker working with the vineyard manager to say. It's not just a plant thing, it's a end result of the wine thing. Yeah,
exactly. You have to, because for Pinot Noir, for example, the less is the better. So it means if you have very small yields, then you will have a high level of concentration, and then the wines will be very good. So it's you have to find the good balance.
Yeah, because you make less wine too then, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we need to focus on quality. There are no other way to cultivate the vineyards. So.
Well, I have to say that when it started getting nice, I was looking at rosé and I was looking back at pictures and I was like, I can't wait to have your wine again.
Yeah.
So I will let you go. Thank you so much for your time. It's lovely to see you, and thank you for being outside in the vineyard for us, because it's very heartwarming to see some just beautiful sunshine and gorgeous atmosphere out there.
Thank you very much for having me here, and I hope to see you very soon. Maybe in
I
New
hope
York,
so. One way or another. Thank you again. It's a pleasure seeing you. And say hi to your mom and dad. Say hi to your mom and dad, okay? All right.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.